Thank you for joining us for the 2-minute drills. I'm Aram Tolegian, joined by Fred J. Robledo. We are talking about a couple of big games going down this week in the Tribune area, Freddie.
Yeah.
We're talking Bishop Amat going to Chino Hills, and then we're also talking, and that's what we'll start right now, Glendora going to Los Altos. And Freddie, when you talk about a Los Altos home game, let me just start by saying this. I've maintained that over the past few years, you really haven't, and you're an atmosphere guy. You've said that before. I'm an atmosphere guy. I like to get out there with the big crowds and, you know, the big fan bases and the crazy student sections, the nightclubs and all that stuff, the big nightlife and all that stuff. All that stuff. The raves out in the desert.
And before you get there, I haven't been to a Los Altos home game since Greg Gainer was
Okay,
there.
so this is why I'm saying this.
That's how long it's been. I've seen
You're missing something because you're also a big page views guy, you're a big page hits guy, you're a big Twitter followers guy. How many followers do I have?
Yeah.
Los Altos should be right up your alley, man.
Yeah, and they really should. You know, when I said I'm going to be at this game, and they were sending me pictures of their fans, videos of what their little their comp crazies were like.
Yeah, it's not little.
They were, retweeting me. I mean, I must have had 30 retweets in about 10 minutes on that game.
I think, you've overlooked this program, Fred.
This fan base, maybe.
Yeah, this fan base in the program, because there's a lot of page views, there's a lot of retweets, there's a lot of hits, there's a lot of big-time Los Altos fans, you know, because this is one of the best, biggest programs that the SGV has. You know, behind Bishop Amat, they're right there. Yeah. If not, on that same level to some.
You're probably right. And in terms of history, they're on that level with the Bishop Amat in terms of what this team has done. Yeah, but
fine. So that's the good news. Freddie J. Robledo is going to be out there, Conqueror fans.
Save me a spot in that press box.
We expect Freddie to do some body surfing across the fans. Like when he wants to go on the field, you guys could carry him down to the field, all the way down.
I don't trust those guys to carry me.
If Tom Kiss is out there, is he going to be out there?
No, Tom Kiss is going to be at Bishop Amat.
Okay, what do I know?
He could walk next door to that.
I'm just hoping someone gets video of it when Freddie crowd surfs.
Yeah.
I want to see
may do it while I'm crowd surfing. But
right,
that might
exactly.
even be a better video. I'm not crowd surfing there. Let's get into this game.
Fine, let's get into this game. The team they're playing, which is part of the reason you're going to be out there. Glendora 1-1, started the season with really high rankings, mostly because of me. They struggled for a half against Altaloma, and it's Altaloma, before they figured it out and got the win against Altaloma. Then they played a good San Gorgonio team last week and got worked. Now they're on the road against something that's a little more doable in Los Altos, which is 2-1, and their only loss is that game that a lot of them don't think they should have blown against San Dimas. They had the 21-14 lead, lost 22-14. Get into it, Freddie. This is a good matchup. Central Division teams.
You got Glendora 7, Los Altos is number 6. Matt Fink averaging 190 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Is that in the division or your?
No, that's what he's averaging. No, these are the divisional rankings.
Okay, 7 and 6.
7 and 6. You know, Matt Fink, Glendora's quarterback, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're averaging 179 yards on the ground. Los Altos, Lorenzo Silva, 145 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they're running by committee. They're doing a good job running the ball, and it's a good matchup. But the thing I like about Glendora, and I'll talk about them first, Aram, is just over the years what their program has been able to do. When you look at a lot of non-league games, they've been able to beat Charter Oak in non-league games. They've stood up against the best public schools in our area. Then sometimes they get in the baseline, they get in the division, and you never see from them again. I've been saying forever that when you get them into this division, and this is a divisional division rival game, at Charter Oak next week. This is what they're kind of built for. Losing last week to San Gorgonio, I don't know how good they are. I would imagine that's a pretty darn good team. So I really like Glendora going up there. I would imagine they're probably going to be a little bit more physical than Los Altos.
No way.
You don't think so?
No.
Los Altos.
One thing they won't be is more physical than Los Altos.
Well, that's
not with that great offensive and defensive line.
Well, you know what? That's to be seen. Los Altos, what they haven't done in the last couple of years has been big step-up games. They've had these big games, whether it be in the playoffs or non-league, where we hype it up, it's a big game, and they've come on the short end of that. So I think this is a game that they really, if they are who you say they are.
Who?
Los Altos.
Oh, because I've said Glendora is a lot of things
too.
But
I think you've backed off of Glendora.
Yeah, I have.
I haven't really backed off Glendora that much yet. I think part of it is who you play early on, and I think this is a game that they're going to flex their muscle on Friday night.
Yeah, but you're flexing your muscle against a team that you don't want to flex your muscle against, and that's Los Altos. You need to go down on the field before the game and check out the warm-ups and stand next to Jimenez and Tolmachov and Magallanes and get back to me, man. They have some huge linemen, offensive and defense, especially that defensive front. And yeah, they're going up against a guy like Ben Northrup at Glendora, who's a 330-something pound, 6'5" offensive tackle who was all area last year, and he's gonna. I think he's got an offer from Hawaii, of all things. Again, that's going to be a great matchup. Yeah. Him going up against Jimenez, man, is worth the price of admission. I mean, 2 preseason all-area guys, something you got to watch. But Los Altos likes to grind on teams. I don't think they're as fast or athletic on the outside, or maybe as skilled at quarterback as some of the other teams in the division. But Glendora is kind of showing right now that they don't have top-notch skill players other than Fink. So then it becomes kind of a grinder game and a battle of lines and stuff like that. And given that Los Altos has played a San Dimas, has beaten a Santa Monica, I'm leaning Los Altos in this game. If it's going to be a grinder, I think Los Altos. I think it's going to be.
Fink may go off in a game like this. Who knows? Glendora may be able to run the ball.
But does he have the weapons to go off with? I mean, can he test Los Altos outside? I know Fink can run around and make plays. I know he can put the ball down and run himself. I worry that he's becoming a one-man show. I don't know. This game, I really hope that, obviously we don't care who really wins or loses, according to these things. If Glendora wins, I'm going to be happy because it's going to be some sort of validation that this team, not because of my ranking, but that this team is capable of having the big season that we've had. If Los Altos wins, I'm going to be happy because that stamps them easily as one of the Central Division, championship contenders. And how great with that fan base, with that crowd, with the craziness that they can bring when they get rolling deep in the playoffs.
You got me all fired up now to want to go down there on Friday.
And I'm telling you right now, I'm covering that Charter Oak Los Altos game here.
You know how great it would be for the Valley if Los Altos went on and had a great year.
Yes, it would. Semifinals or beyond, you'd really, really see something special, and especially when you're talking about Los Altos maybe playing a Monrovia in the playoffs and the semis.
And I'll tell you what, some bit of news this week, and thank God they finally approved a new field surface over there, a new track. They got approved last week. They're gonna. Too bad the seniors won't get to play it next year or this year, but next year they're going to have a new field. That's certainly a school with the tradition they have that deserves that because it's a great. It's the only high school I know with 2 press boxes.
Right, it is pretty cool.
Who has a visiting press box?
I don't know, but I like it. I've always liked that. Listen, man, these are 2 great fan bases for us. They really, really are. Nothing can beat that Glendora community when it comes to sports as far as public schools go. And Los Altos has all that tradition. They've done a great job getting their students involved in the football program. This is going to be a great setting. Great players on both teams. I got Los Altos winning a very close game.
I've got Glendora. I'm looking at it this way. I like Baseline over Hacienda, and that's what they've been.
This is Palomares now.
I know it is.
This is Palomares.
I'm looking at the recent history and what they've done in these non-league games, and I know you really can't look back to a lot of last years, but Glendora and Glendora's going to play Charter Oak next week. I like Baseline over Hacienda. I'm looking at it in those terms, and I'll bet that Glendora's going to be a little bit more physical on Friday. You don't agree, but I'll bet you they will.
Yeah, I could see it. I don't know. To me, it's a coin flip game.
Yeah. All right, Glendora, but I got it close. There's not a blowout either way here.
I don't think so either.
I like Glendora.
And I think you better get ready for a great crowd experience.
This is our game of the week.
Both sides.
Doctor's going to be there.
You'll have a great time, no doubt about it. Okay, so let's move on now. We got Bishop Amat, the back to #1 Lancers.
They dropped out of the Pac-5 rankings after probably one of their
after a signature. That just shows you about the Pac-5. Amat now 2-1, won 2 straight games since the Santa Margarita loss to start the season. They're going on the road, Freddie, to play a Chino Hills team that is for Chino Hills is 2-1 now. Also,
they're 2-1. Yeah, they've been scoring a lot of points.
J. Sarah.
Yes,
but they did beat Hart in the opener.
They beat Hart 63-48.
Yeah, this team is averaging.
They beat Roosevelt 52-6.
Over 50 points a game.
Yes, they're averaging over 50 points a game.
They can score points. Matt Bechtel, that's his forte. The head coach there. They can move the ball. They can score points. But I want to rewind the clock now, Fred. 2 years ago, this was the site of the Amat-Chino Hills game that ended in, I believe it was a 49 all-tie or 48 all-tie.
And last year it was 47-42. So, I mean, these teams...
I was at that game, though. Amat had a big lead, and Chino Hills rallied into it. But for all intents, nobody at that game really left thinking that Chino Hills was close to Amat. But Chino Hills could move the ball, and they were moving it on them in garbage time, so to speak.
But because Chino Hills can put up a lot of points, this is another one of those good tests for Amat to see, test their secondary again. They're not running the ball particularly well. Maybe they haven't needed to run the ball. They're airing it out a lot.
Hills?
Chino Hills,
okay,
yeah. So and teams have had trouble running the ball against the lawn anyway. So I think Bishop Amat is going to score a lot of points. I can't see Chino Hills. Chino Hills, you look at some of their scores. I mean, they've been giving up a lot of points. So you figure Amat, with the way Damien Garcia is going down with their receivers and Camargo getting it going, they're going to have trouble stopping them on any series. And I think Bishop Amat is going to get enough stops. The story of their season really has been their defense. I mean, last week they had Rancho Cucamonga, who had been scoring a lot of points too. They basically held them to 3 points. Those 2 touchdowns came in the final 5 minutes of running time. Starters were out. The week before against a Texas team that scored a lot of points, they basically shut them down. So I think it's another good test for Amat's defense, but they've stood up to the test the past couple of weeks.
And that's kind of what I'm looking at here, Fred. I wanted to see since that Santa Margarita game, and keep in mind, on the scoreboard, they didn't give up a ton of points to Santa Margarita. I think it was 26. But I didn't like the way their defense was playing. I mean, they didn't hit like old teams. They didn't play with serious aggression. Now, granted, they were going against a very good Santa Margarita offense. To me, even though I don't know much about Alito, and obviously Rancho last week didn't look too good, to me, this is their first big test, the Amat defense, since that Santa Margarita team. They are playing a team that has guys that can move the ball, a coach that knows how to, get them in the right spots. I want to see what this Amat defense can do against this thing. Is Amat's quickness going to be too much? Are they going to put too much pressure on the quarterback? This is a key game for Amat, because if they can step up and clamp down on a Chino Hills offense that's this good, then you start to get more confidence for the bigger, better offenses that they'll see in league.
Extremely important. And also, next week they start at Crespi. I mean, the big Mission League begins. I mean, all of those teams in that league, every one of them can beat you. You can beat every one of them this year. That's how I feel about Amat.
I agree.
But also, these are games like Chino Hills you can't lose, Aram, because there's going to be a couple of wild card bursts in the Pac-5, and your overall record and what you do is extremely important. You can't lose to a team like Chino Hills. I mean, maybe they can get away with the Santa Margarita loss if they go on and have a pretty good year. Right now they're 3-0. But you can't afford more than one non-league loss with this league shaping up, because when you look at your record at the end of the day, if you're going to finish 4th, you're going to need every win you can get. And I just don't buy it. I think that they're playing too well. I think they're going to go there and do enough defensively to get a win. And again, I don't think Chino Hills is going to have an answer for Bishop Amat's offense at all. So I think I like Bishop Amat at the end of the day by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, well, I agree with you. I think what you're saying, and you're not saying in these words, but I think what you're saying is you trust Amat's defense more. And I do too. I mean, Chino Hills giving up 39 points a game. They've had trouble, stopping quality teams in recent years. And I don't think they're just going to outscore Amat and win this game.
Hart doesn't have the greatest team this year.
No.
And they scored 48 points on them.
But they are a good team. But I don't think Hart is physically... No. They have a good scheme. They have good skill guys. I don't think they're physically... Amat kind of brings the total package to the table. Athletes, a little bit of size at least on offense. And, obviously, just Pac-5 quality all over the place. I agree with you. I think Bishop Amat...
It was the first time last week in a while now I've seen Amat play with a real swagger.
It really
That's
what I like to see.
It was,
and they should.
It was a little different.
They should, because they are that good.
And hollering and they had a little swag that hadn't been there since I think the year when the Rio team started, like 8-9-0. They kind of had that swag before Alameda knocked them out. They lost in the first round.
They should, Fred.
They have that kind of feel to them for me.
But they have that kind of talent to play with that kind of swag, which is what I like about it. I got this game something like Amat in the 50s and Chino Hills in the 30s. Maybe high 20s.
So you're more than 2 touchdowns.
What I'm telling you is to bet the over.
And Tom Kiss will be there with highlights.
Tom Kiss will be there. We should always add, though, playing at Chino Hills is never a safe place for the visitor, because we've seen Corona Centennial when they have their juggernaut team go get a game for 3 quarters against them. Amat 2 years ago, almost tied with them. Hart this year, I think that game was at Chino Hills, if I'm not mistaken. Hart went there and found out, it was at Chino Hills. It's a dangerous place to play for the visitor, man. You got to watch out.